Hey guys, so again I am back with a new video where we are going to solve the question named Safe Soap Company, which were asked in December 2014. Okay, so as we used to read the requirement first, so let's move to the requirement of this question. And as you know very well that section C, two questions were asked and each of were 20 marks. So 2020 altogether 40 marks will be covered by section C. And trust me guys, if you are getting question from variance topic, especially in section C, it is very easy to grab mark, especially for the calculation part. Because out of 20, 12 to 14 or 15 marks has been allocated for the calculation part. Remaining will be allocated for the discussion part, and that's to like manager performance, or they will ask some kind of theory, as you can see in this question as well. So that's why I would suggest you guys to have a confidence on the topic variance, because it's very scoring area and it's not challenging. No, it like other topic. So it's not a challenging like other topic. And if you read my notes very well, I have explained each and everything in my notes, so you don't need to go anywhere search for the things like how to remember the formula, how to like perform the calculation, and you don't need to pressurize your mind to have to learn the formula. You will automatically learn each and everything if you will go through my notes, trust me. So today we will solve this question. Again, this question is for 20 marks. There are three requirements. So part A is asking to calculate total mix variance and total material yield variance for the September. See, again I am saying this because when you are reading the requirement, try to highlight the things that you need to asked by examiner to do, because obviously in exam the time is going on and it sounds like tick 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 it's going on, and in hurry we used to miss something while reading the requirement. That's why I would suggest you to highlight the few things. Like in this question they're asking us to calculate material mix variance total. That's to total. Why total? Because if you look at the question initially, there are three kind of material being used in manufacturing of the soap. Okay, and now we don't need to calculate the mix variance for each of the material. I mean, examiner has not asked us to calculate material mix variance for the each of the variance, but they ask us to calculate in total. So even though you calculate the each material mix for each material, if you will calculate the mix variance and you didn't calculate the total material mix variance, you will lose the mark. You will get some credit for that as well, because obviously that's the process we will reach to the final part of the calculation, that is the total material mix variance, obviously. But you have done everything, but you have not calculated the total material mix variance, you will lose some marks allocated to this. Similarly, they also ask us to calculate total material yield variance. Two things, and one more thing that we need to focus, that is for the month of September. So if they have given the figure for the other month, we can ignore it. And one more thing, they ask us to only calculate, not to explain. So just don't waste your time in writing long paragraph thinking that you need to explain the what calculation you have done. That's totally wrong. It will be waste of time. Remember, students not only fail due to lack of knowledge, they failed also due to lack of time management. Also failed they don't read the requirement properly. Also failed they don't understand what ACCA verb is. And one more thing, I have uploaded the separate video on the ACCA verb. If you have not watched till yet, you can just comment me in comment box ACCA verb. I will send you the link. I will send you the sorry link. Okay, just comment me ACCA verb. And one more thing, out of 20, if you remember, this question is for 8 marks. And that's only purely calculation part. See, as I said, maximum marks in the variance, especially in section C, it has been allocated for the calculation. So if you know the formula very well, you can grab the easy marks. My notes is very helpful in your preparation because I have covered everything. I will show in this video my notes as well, because using my notes I will show you how the formulas has came, and you don't need to remember the formula. Everything will come automatically when you are going through the process. Okay. So this is for the 8 marks, and in the second part they're asking us to briefly explain what the adverse mix and favorable material yield variance indicate about the production of safe company. Now they're asking for the month of October. Remember, previously the question asks for us to the month of September. Now they are asking us for the month of October. So that's why it's very important to read the requirement. Okay, so if you don't read the requirement properly, there is a high chance of like missing the things. Okay, and suppose in hurry you don't notice they have specified the month, and you just did every calculation and explanation for September, you will lose the mark. You will lose the marks. Okay, so that's why it's very important to read the requirement properly. Now, one more thing, the ACCA verb. Here, the verb they have used is explain. See, ACCA verb is very important because it tells you what examiner expect from you, rather than what you are knowing and writing everything in the paper. It's totally wrong way, and there is high chance of being failure. So that's why here the word they have used is briefly explain. So explain means to make your idea clear and understandable by showing how concept has been developed and why it applies. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so simple example, what and why. Okay, so briefly explain what the adverse material mix and favorable material yield variance indicate about the production at the safe soap company in October. So note, you are not required to discuss revision of standard or operation and planning variance. So they have clearly made a note. We don't need to discuss here the revision of standard or like operational and planning variance and all. And it's only for the 4 marks. Now in the last part, there is a requirement for the B part. Discuss whether the sales manager could be justified in claiming that the changes in material mix has caused an adverse sales volume variance in October. So again, this is the discussion part. Just note down the ACC verb. Okay, it's very important to understand what the examiner expects from you in each and every requirement. Then in last part, they ask critically discuss the type of standard used in the standard costing. Really sorry. Okay, so critically discuss the type of standard used in standard costing and their effect on employee motivation. Remember, there are 4 type of standard costing, and we just don't need to like provide a definition of each of the standard, but we also need to discuss how those particular type of standard will affect the employee motivation. Okay, so here we need to discuss. The verb is to discuss. That means you are required to examine a topic in depth by debating both pros as well as cons. Okay, balance arguments. You need to discuss for this particular requirement. So this is for 20 marks. So now let's perform the calculation part. So question asks us regarding to calculate the material mix and material yield. So let's just recap the formula before we perform the calculation. So here is the formula. So if you want, I have also uploaded the formula video separately. So if you want that video, just comment me formula. I will send those video link to you. Okay. So just have a recap from our basic formula which we study in the F2. So remember there are two cases. The first case is when purchase is equal to use. That means whatever the material we have purchased, all of them has been used in the production. That means there is no closing inventory. So this is our first case. Second, purchase is equal to not equal to use, means there is some kind of closing inventory in the stock. Whatever the material we all purchase, we have not used it fully in the production. There are some stock still remaining. So this is case. If the question didn't tell anything, assume the first case and perform the calculation, move ahead. Okay. So now just let's have a recap the basic formula of F2. Remember what I say. You need to write down SP, then again SP, and then you AP. Okay. Then moving backward, AQ. Again one more time we will write down AQ. Now SQ. Okay. So this will I will give this name A, B, and C. So difference of A minus B will be our material use variance, and difference of B minus C will be material price variance. Okay. Now we are learning mix variance, mix and yield. So that is the advanced formula for the material variance, and for mix variance we will keep this here. SP will be same, just we will write down S mix variance. Now let's have a name D. So now A minus D will be your material yield variance, and D minus B will be your material mix variance. Okay, so this is the formula. Just we have derived it from our basic formula which we studied earlier. I hope this is clear. Now question is why material mix and yield variance arises. So if suppose we are manufacturing the biscuit, there are lots of material being used, like it may be flour, it may be like sugar, it may be some decorative item like jeera. So they by mixing all of them, the final product biscuit or cookies will be prepared. But in the start of the while we are preparing the budget, we have decided we will use these cookies with flour this much proportion in one cookies, or this much proportion of sugar in one cookies, or this much proportion of jeera in one cookies. We have just decided in the advance, so this much proportion of the material, different kind of material will be used to produce the one cookies. So we have just fix the percentage that we will be going to use. Suppose we are preparing the 10 gram of one final cookies. In that 10 gram, 2 gram will be sugar, 5 gram will be flour, and rest will be jeera. Suppose. So just we have fixed the proportion of material in advance, but while performing the actual production, we just change those proportion. And while changing those proportion, the mix and yield variance will arise. And what's the reason of changing that proportion? You might be thinking like that. Obviously, because some of material might be cheaper or some of material might be expensive. So they just change the proportion so that overall cost will be lower, and so that they could grab the bonus, because it initially looking at this figure it will look like we have saved the cost, but no, we change the proportion, right? So that's why material mix, material yield variance will arise. Now let's move to our back to the question. So there are three different kind of material being used here. So I will just add one column and write down the heading. So material used. Oh, we have not read the scenario. It's also remaining. Okay. So let's read the scenario, then we will come to this calculation part. Okay. Safe Soap Company makes environmental friendly soap. That's very interesting. Using three basic ingredient, so three kind of ingredient or material being used to produce the final product soap. The standard cost card for one batch of soap for the month of September was as follows. The material used here is Lee coconut oil, then we shea butter. Okay. Sorry. Now standard, we need to find out the value and put it here. So kilogram, this is the standard cost card. That means in one batch of soap, we use 0.2 kg of Lee and price of it is 10 per kg. So that means SP is $10 per kg. And remember SQ is standard quantity required for actual production. Standard quantity means if we are producing the final goods, how, like suppose here we are producing the final product is one batch of soap. So how much material is being used while we are producing one batch of soap, and it's already given the question that is 0.25 kg. Again, one more time. SQ means standard quantity required for actual production. This is the standard quantity and actual production is here 136,000. I hope here up to it is clear. So this is the batch. So this is per batch and this is the batch. It's very important to look at in which, like whether it's in kg, whether the provided figure is in gram, whether the provided figure is in the unit or batches. We need to read the requirement or scenario very carefully, because small mistake can be costly. Okay, it will be costly for you. Again, for coconut oil, the SP. So this 10 kg is SP. So I will highlight this in the red, and remaining is SQ. And this in while doing calculation for SQ, this is a point where many students used to make mistake. Because in whole variance, this is a point where students struggle to find out the figure. Okay, so you need to very careful here, very careful. Okay, while doing the calculation. Okay, so now I will copy this here as well. So for coconut, how much is the SP? SP is 4. And how much quantity of coconut oil is required to produce one batch is 0.6. And what is the actual production? It's 136,000 batches. Okay, because SQ means standard quantity required for actual production. In hurry, you may take the budgeted figure instead of actual production, which is wrong. Okay, so be careful here. Now for butter, the price is 3, and how much kg of butter is required to produce one batch of soap? It's 0.5, and actual production is already given. So now let's have it equal to here. Okay, it's my fault. So 10 into 0.25. You can present your answer like this in your exam as well, because in PM there is no any specific format specified by examiner or in books. So whatever you feel comfortable, you can present your answer like this. There is no any specific format like as mentioned in our FR. So that's why you can present it in your own way. Now 3 into 0.5 into 136123. So we're done with SP and SQ. Okay. Remember, question asks us to calculate the total variance. So don't forget that. So let's have a total for this. We got our figure. Now again, I will copy paste this one. Just I am putting the SP figure because it is same in the rest of the column as well. So that's why I'm just copy pasting this here as well. Okay. Now actual quantity is already given in the question. So actual quantity used is your 34080 kg for coconut oil. It's already given 83232 kg, and for shea butter it's given 64200 kg. See, so at the start of the question they provide the standard cost card, and they also provide the budgeted production and actual sales figure here for the month of September, and also they provided the actual ingredient. This much is the information that has been provided for uh, part A of the calculation. So we are done with this as well. So let's do calculation for this. So now 34080 83232 then we have 64200. So now let's have a total for this as well. So the question is asking mix and yield, so we don't need this figure, so I will remove this figure. Okay, now it's time for the S mix. For S mix, first of all we need to do small walking. Let me explain you what kind of walking. So first walking is to find the proportion. Proportion of what? So like there are three kind of material being used to produce the final product soap, and as per standard cost card, how much it has been used for one batch is 0.25, this is 0.6, and this is 0.4. So altogether how much it has been used for one batch of production, for one batch of production of soap is 1.35. So now this is the proportion of Li in the one batch is 0.25 divided by 1.35. Correct? Similarly, for the coconut oil is 0.6 divided by 1.35. And similarly for shea butter, it's 0.5 divided by 1.35. So this is a proportion. That is a percentage we have decided that we will use this much percentage of material to produce one batch of soap. Now actually how much we use? So Actual used is actual used. Actual use of Lee is 34080 and 83232, then 64200. So if we will total all these, the actual use kg is this much. So now for S mix calculation, standard proportion according to actual uses. If you remember the formula, here I have written S mix means standard mix or standard proportion of material according to actual uses. Okay, for actual uses. Sorry, standard mix of material for actual uses. So that means actually how much material we use in total by adding all of the materials. Okay, so here we use three kind of material: ghee, coconut oil, shea butter, and we also have the actual figure given in the question that we that I have here noted down: 34,080 for the ghee, 83,232 for the coconut oil, and for butter 64,200. So in all together we use 181,512 kg of material in total by adding all of different kind of material, right? So now for standard mix, just listen me carefully. We will take the standard proportion. Remember what I said? Standard mix or standard proportion of material for actual uses. Standard proportion means this fraction that we have calculated here. So that is 0.25 divided by 1.35. And actual uses is your 181,512. So this will be your in kg. Okay. Similarly, for the coconut oil, the standard proportion is 0.6 divided by 1.35 and actual uses is 181,512. Similarly, for the butter one, the standard proportion is 0.5 divided by 1.35 into actual use is 181,512 and it will be kg. Done. We are done with for 8 marks. It's very easy and scoring area. So 10 into 0.25 divided by 1.35 into, then we have 4 into this into this. Oh, sorry. 0.6 divided by 1.35. Similarly, for here, 3 into 0.5 divided by 1.35 into this. Now, material uses variance will be your A minus B. Material price variance not required here because question has not asked regarding this. So material yield variance will be this minus this, and material mix variance will be. Now this is your favorable, adverse, and to look professional you can have a comma here as well. Okay. Question has only asked this to one. So we are done with 8 marks. See how easy it is if you understand the formula very well, if you know the calculation very well, you can do it very confidently and grab the marks. So we are done with the first part of the requirement. Now let's move to the next part. In October, the material mix and yield variance were as follows. Now we move to the October month. September month is over. So mixed variance was 6,000 adverse, whereas yield variance is 10,000 favorable. Production manager is pleased with the result overall, stating, at the beginning of September, I made some changes to the mix of ingredient used for the soap. As I expected, mix variance is adverse in the both month because we haven't yet updated our standard cost card. But in both month, the favorable yield variance more than make up for this. Overall, I think we can be satisfied that the changes made to the product mix are producing good result, and now we are able to produce more batches and meet the growing demand for our product. Basically, production manager has made some changes in the mix. That means if you look at the different kind of material, the most cheaper is butter and the most expensive is lee. So now, obviously, I will try to use lessly and I will try to use more butter so that overall cost will be lower and my performance will look better because initially it look I have saved the cost. So that's the reason he might have changed this the mix of the ingredient. And then in next paragraph they are saying sales manager however hold a different view and say I'm not happy with these changes in the ingredient mix. I have to explain to the board why sales volume variance for October was 22,000 adverse. I have tried to explain that quality of the soap has declined slightly and some of my customers have realized this, simply aren't happy, but no one seems to be listening. Some customers are even demanding that price of soap be reduced and threatening to go elsewhere if problem isn't sorted out. See, obviously if I am changing the mix, like using the cheaper material more and expensive material less, obviously the quality of final product will be lower. There is less likely chances that you will get all those sell. So there is, if quality is low, there is high chances of rejection from the customer, and same thing happens here as well. Okay. Now the part B, first requirement is asking briefly explain what adverse material mix and favorable material yield variance indicate about the production at the safe soap company in the October. Note, you are not required to discuss revision of standard or operational and planning variance, and it is for the 4 marks. So here I have started with explaining the formula first. And what does it mean? So material mix variance arises when the proportion of actual used is different what we have decided earlier. So basically it's focused on the input mix used in the production. As I said, when we change the proportion what we have decided earlier because of the cost issue, because there are different kind of material being used, some of them will be expensive, some of them will be cheaper. So if I will use more cheaper material and less expensive material, my overall cost will be lower. Initially it looks I have saved the cost but actually it is not. Okay, so in that case mixed variance will definitely come. So for FSOP company, as they mentioned that we have also calculated a verb. It was adverse figure, and if for the month of September and also for the month of October, mixed variance is adverse. That is 6,000. So total mixed variance is adverse. This for both month. We can write here for both month of September and October. This means that actual combination of material used was more costly than the standard mix. Yeah, sometimes it is not necessary that we only use cheaper material more and expensive less. Sometimes we even use more expensive material and less cheaper material. So that could be the one reason it might be adverse. Similarly, for the material yield, it arises when actual output that should be obtained from the material by mixing the material used is different from what we expected. In that case, yield variance will arise. So basically, if we talk about mixed variance, it focuses on the input and mix of the material, whereas if we talk about the yield variance, it focuses on the output obtained from the material used. So therefore, for safe company, the yield variance is favorable. That means material used produce more output than what we have expected earlier. Okay, so this is only for the 4 marks, so 2 marks each, and it's enough. Okay, now let's move to the part 2 of the requirement B. Discuss whether the sales manager could be justified in claiming that the change in material mix has caused an adverse sales volume variance in the October. So guys, it is very important to have a heading of which part of the requirement you are answering. So let's move to the part B, second one. So as this is for 3 marks, so I have not explained much. So as the sales manager is saying that adverse volume variance was due to the mix, changing the mix of the final product. So as adverse sales volume variance means that in actually we have sold less quantity as compared to the budgeted one. So as the sales manager is believing that the change in material mix causes the adverse sales volume variance in October. However, this claim is not accepted without any further evidence. So if there is a change in the material mix, it will affect the quantity of the final product or attractiveness of the final product, and in that case it will obviously reduce our customer demand and therefore the sales. And then in that case, manager, whatever the manager is saying, that could be justifiable. But lower sales volume, actually the problem is we have a lower sales volume, and the reason could be not only the reason could not only be this change in the material mix. There will be many other reasons, like there might be some competitor has been come in the market, so we have increased competition, or market condition is very difficult, or might be change in the customer preference. So therefore it will be wrong to say that change in the material mix was only the reason for the adverse sales volume variance. Therefore sales manager should provide evidence linking to the change in the material mix with the fall in the sales. For example, customer feedback or comparison of sales before and after change could help to support the claim. So therefore claim may be possible, but more information and evidence are required before concluding that the change in material mix caused the adverse volume variance. Okay, so this is only for 3 marks. That's why I have written small paragraph. Now we are on the last part of the requirement, that is the critical. Discuss the type of standard used in the standard costing and their effect on the employee motivation. So we need to discuss the different type of standard along with their effect on the employee motivation. तो लास्ट पार्ट ऑफ द रिक्वायरमेंट में आ गए. सो वी कवर ए एंड बी. ए में सिर्फ और सिर्फ कैलकुलेशन का पार्ट था विच वी डिड, एंड देन बी में एक्सप्लेन करने को बोल रहा था. वी ऑलरेडी डिड द एक्सप्लेनेशन पार्ट एज वेल. ठीक है, यहाँ पे हमको कोई रिविजन ऑफ स्टैंडर्ड और ऑपरेशनल और हमारा प्लानिंग वेरिएंस के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से कुछ भी डिस्कस नहीं करना था. वी जस्ट नीड टू quickly look at the different side of an issue without writing too much in detail, and which we cover in the part B, first part of the requirement. Then in B, second requirement, they ask us to discuss like whether the sales manager could be justified in claiming that change in the material mix has caused adverse sales volume variance in the October. To discuss means we need to discuss the both part. If he is right, what he need to do. If not, what he need to do. And we have just explained in the balanced way, right? Now the last part of the requirement is critical to discuss the type of standard used in the standard costing and their effect on the employee motivation, which I have done for you. So here, so first is the ideal standard. So ideal standard means you are working in the perfect environment condition where there will be no motion problem, where there will no any issue, you won't take any leave, there will be no any wastage, there will be no any part of inefficiency in the process. And obviously this type of standard is very difficult to achieve in the reality, in the ground level, because obviously there is no any way that we can't do the mistake. We are human being. There will be high chances machine will also get breakdown. There will be problem in machine. There will be little and more wastage as well. So if we are using idle standard, employee on regular basis will obviously get their variance result in negative, that means adverse. So even they have performed very well, their variance will always be in negative, that means in adverse, and which will sound like they have not done well. So this can make employee feel that target is unrealistic and may reduce their motivation. Therefore, idle standards are generally not suitable for motivating employees, although they can be useful as long-term benchmark for the performance. This is how I explain for the idle one. Now for attainable, as opposite of the perfect ideal one. So as the name itself suggests that the standard has been set based on the efficient but realistic working condition. So it allows there will be some idle time, it allows some there will be machine breakdown, it allow my labor will fall sick, there will be some inefficiency, everything has been accepted. Now this standard is more likely to motivate the employee because they have a reasonable chance of achieving the target. Employee may feel encouraged when they achieve the standard or receive favorable variance. However, if standard is too easy to achieve, employee may not feel challengeable. So in that case, they will obviously be demotivated and they will obviously not put their full effort. Okay. So therefore standard need to be set at the appropriate level to motivate the employees so that they will be work hard to achieve the standard. Now for the basic one again. So basic means your, just a second. The basic standard is long-term standard which is kept unchanged for long period of time. So it can be useful for comparing the performance from one time period to over another. So but however business condition, prices, technology, working method may change. So if we don't update the standard based on the situation, it may become unrealistic or employee may feel outdated. So therefore employee may therefore be assessed against the standard that no longer reflect their current condition, which could be seen as unfair and reduce their motivation level. And the last one is your current standard, which I have explained here. So obviously current standard means it is normal based on the current situation that will reflect the current environment. So it is generally achievable by employee, therefore it will motivate them to work hard to get their realistic target achieved. However, if again it is very easy to achieve, they will not put their full effort and their motivation level will also be declined. So it is very important to have to set the appropriate level of standard for the current one. So this is how I write down for the part C of the requirement. I hope this is now clear. So question is very easy for the variance. Trust me guys, you not just need to mug up the you just need to have a clarity over the formula and how to use it, because obviously majority of marks is for the calculation. So once you are done with the calculation part perfectly, you will get the full marks in hand. Even the 1 marks is very important for the part to clear the paper, because obviously students fell at 48 49, which is very heartbreaking. So that's why it's very important. So I hope this video is useful. And also I'm not feeling well to because that's why I have taken very pause in solving this question. So I hope anything, if there is any doubt in this question, you can comment to me in this video, or you can ask me anywhere in any of social media platform, Facebook, Insta, Telegram, anywhere. So thank you so much guys for watching. Have a good day.